Hi, I'm Phoebe.
And I'm Stephen.
And we are
Just Another Knitting Podcast.
Here we are again. I think this is episode 10.
It is.
Yay!
10 already.
We made 10.
Double digits.
Honestly, when we started, we weren't sure we were going to make 2 or 3. So 10 feels a bit of a milestone, really, to be 10 in. And it's taken a while to get there.
Yeah, a few months.
And we've learned heaps. And thank you, everyone, for all of the comments that you've had and all the constructive feedback that we've had on all sorts of different elements of what we do and what we talk about. It's actually really helpful.
Yeah. You guys have got some really good ideas, especially on places to go and things to do, and anything that we're sort of struggling with. There's usually one or two thoughts and comments that gives us something to go away and have a look at.
Yeah.
It's great.
And the feedback on, what you want to see on the podcast, because we're doing it mostly for us, but actually you're the ones watching it. So what you want to see is important to us.
Yeah, we're aware that you're spending your time watching us.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Yes. So we're just going to run a normal episode, what we're wearing, finished objects, whips, all of the usual things that you expect to see. So we'll start with Stephen. What are you wearing?
What am I wearing? Well, today I am wearing Rift by Jared Flood. It's a Brooklyn tweed pattern. It's probably the third jersey that I knit. So it's fairly old. It's knit in Rebel worsted. The colourway on it is Origin. It's actually Rebel.
So it's undyed.
It's undyed. That's right. So it's non-colourway really. But yeah, it's actually the first batch of Rebel worsted that actually was produced. So it's a local New Zealand yarn. It was first produced several years ago, and this is the first batch that made it to the shop that we were able to get a sweater load in. So yeah, it's a bit of an experimental knit. We hadn't knit anything in it before, so it's it's the same sort of yarn as the Troutbeck, but it's a slightly heavier gauge.
So same yarn, but the next size up.
That's right, and don't be fooled by the fact that it's called Rebel worsted. It's not actually worsted. It's woolen spun.
Oh, worsted is the weight
it's
of the yarn.
Weight, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't be tricked by that. So anyway, enough about yarn theory of the jersey. I knit this in size 4, which means that it's a 51 1/4 inch chest. As my third jersey, I was still going through the how big am I?
What size to knit to fit?
It's a little bit oversized, but overall it's a good sweatshirty feel size. It's one of
with the way that it's knit and like the collar and stuff, it does have a sweatshirty vibe, doesn't it?
It does, and it sort of wears a little bit like one as well. So, and I really like this pattern because of particularly of the shoulder interest. Obviously, it's really just bottom up, knit in the round to shoulder separation.
Oh, so it's knitted bottom up to the sleeves.
Sorry, it's not shoulder separation. That would be a bit dangerous.
And it's got separation. Like a deep bit of detail on the front, which is just knits and purls on the side.
It's a pattern, just a ribbed pattern up the side, and then that pattern splits front and back. So front and back, once you reach sleeve separation, is knit flat. So that was a bit of a journey for me in my first experience of knitting flat. So everything I'd knit up until that point had been in the round. So. But yeah, no, I really like it. Normally all my jerseys, in fact all of my jerseys except this one, are ribbed collars. So this one is obviously, you can see it's a roll neck collar. I'm still a little bit unsure about the roll neck.
Look, it suits the style of the garment and what you wear it for.
It does, and so I think it looks okay with a collar, but I often wear them with t-shirts as well, so I'm not 100% sure on what a roll neck's like with a t-shirt underneath, but I don't care, I just wear it anyway. And yeah, I think wearing it with a shirt and a shirt collar looks good, but I think it also makes it look a little bit casual. So sometimes I used to wear this to work.
For Friday.
Yeah, as a main jersey, but I do get the feeling that it's a little bit casual for work. So I've really moved that to Casual Fridays.
And so it has some seaming. You must have seamed the...
Yeah, so the two
That's
front
the
and
only
back
seam.
join at the top, and it's
Yeah.
just seamed at the top.
Oh, yeah.
And the sleeves are set in as well. So there was...
So you seam those in.
yeah, they're knit in the round, but then they're just set into the holes. So... So yeah, it was. There's a whole lot of new things that I did on that. As I say, jersey number 3.
Jared Flood's a good pattern designer.
Great pattern designer. Yeah, it's a really good jersey. To the point that when you asked me if I wanted a jersey, I actually requested another one. We may have shown this one before. I can't remember, but
Yeah, you may have worn it before.
But this is another Rift, which BB knit. I didn't actually knit this one. So we tried this as an experiment in size. So BB knit this for me in size 3, which is a 47.25 inch. Because
Same yarn.
Yeah, it's the same yarn, just a different,
Pretty much the same
different
gauge.
colour. Yeah, smaller size. Now the theory was, I got BB, as you can see, she's knit a ribbed collar on the top. So the idea was to make it perhaps a little bit smarter. That's off pattern, but just to make it a little bit smarter for work.
And easy to do because it's knit bottom up. So when you get to the top, instead of doing that roll collar, you just stop, seam it, and then pick up the neckline.
Yeah. The only catch with this jersey is it's a slightly smaller size, and the perils of knitting bottom up, it's just a little bit short. Which is a little bit obvious. So I spend most of the day just kind of pulling it down a little
and
bit.
blocking hasn't really helped that. It kind of bounces back. It's very bouncy yarn.
It is. So, yeah, I still wear it though. It's a great jersey, and it does show up every now and then in my daily work. How about you, baby? It's an interesting number you've got on there.
Yeah, so I should start by saying it's my birthday today.
Yes, happy birthday.
I'm 54 today. You won't see this till next week. It'll be old news by then. But yeah, I went out for brunch and I feel kind of Christmassy in this, even though it's not Christmas colours. It kind of, I don't know, it has a Christmas vibe for me. So it's getting close to Christmas, and thought I'd wear something a little bit with a bit of colour in it today when I went out for brunch.
Festive, yeah.
Yep. So this is Twigs by Junko Okamoto. And I knit this last year, so I knit it in February and March last year. It took me about 5 weeks to get it done. It was probably one of the first colour work things that I ever did. I knit it, it's a single size, which not sure about that, but I'll stand up and show you the size of it. It's knit in Bohemia Light, which is, I think I've showed Bohemia before, so this is also a yarn that you can't get anymore.
Yeah, that was you were doing yarn colours for Vega last time.
That's right, same yarn. So this is the yellow that I was debating for the Vega, and then also the orange, which I don't have any more of. I absolutely love it. So this is a sport weight yarn, and it's a combination of Polworth, alpaca and possum. So it's 45% Polworth, it's 10% possum, and then the maths
Something
35%.
else? I have no idea.
Alpaca, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So very soft, very fluffy. This one has it initially did pill quite a lot because of the Polworth, but it kind of has not felted, but it's kind of settled down. It's a little bit more matted, the pills. It doesn't, none of that sounds good, felted or matted, but it isn't quite that, but it's settled, so it doesn't really pill as much anymore, just a normal amount for a jumper. I absolutely love this yarn. I love this jumper. It's very soft. I'll stand up so you can see the style of it. So
it does get a lot of wear.
Yeah, it's I don't know what you call that, like a dolman or a swancho, maybe people call it. I really love this style of it. It's a good kind of, because it's colour work. I get a lot of comments on it. People are like, wow, did you knit that? I'm like, yes, obviously. I'm usually sitting knitting while people ask me this question. But it's also really colourful and kind of festival looking. in my mind. Anyway, I absolutely love this jumper. I wear it a lot. It's very warm. It's quite a warm day today, and I'm wearing quite a warm jumper, but I don't care. It makes me happy.
Yeah. It seems fairly the sport weight makes it fairly lightweight as well too.
Yeah, like it makes good colour work because it's not too thick. Like the Bohemia worsted would be, well, I have knit colour work in that, and it's very, very warm, but this is good. And because it's quite loose fitting, it's a little bit more airy. So perfect for kind of autumn winter in my wardrobe. Some people it would be a midwinter garment, but for me it's spring here, so spring and autumn garment.
Okay, so finished objects. That brings us to
What
things
have
that
you been
finished.
up to?
Well,
So many
look,
things they get finished.
So many things. None.
None.
Again, still like I said last time, I'm really focusing on being monogamous, trying to make good progress on the things that I'm actually knitting. So I will cover the things that I've been up to in WIPs.
Yeah,
So-
okay. And I have one Evo. Had I finished this last
No,
time?
I
No.
don't think so.
I think I was on the button band last time. It's finished. So this is the Traveller Shell by Andrea Mowry, and I knit this in Cecia Mistral, which is a 4-ply yarn, very springy, very bouncy, superwash yarn for my daughter, and it blocked out beautifully. Like it was very kind of scrunched up when I finished it, and I was like, she tried it on. It came like mid-waist.
Very
it's
springy,
like, but it's blocked out really beautifully. I was a bit lazy though, and I did just a normal bind off, like a knitted bind off for the button band, and you can actually see that it sits up, or maybe you can't see, but the button band, when you're wearing it, the rest of the garment hangs quite low, but the button band kind of pulls the fronts up.
So it's not stretchy. You've kind of
Not
locked the
stretchy
length.
enough.
Yeah.
And so I kind of knew. I knew when I did it that's what was going to happen, and I was just like, I just want to get this done. But I figured I'm probably committing myself to ripping out this button band and redoing it, and that is what I'm going to do. So I'm kind of
The whole button band or just the cast off?
just the cast off.
Right.
Yeah, just read.
That sounded extreme.
Yeah, rip it all out. No, recasting off the button band. I've got a couple of options. I can do a 3 needle. No, what's it called? An Italian bind
Italian
off.
bind off.
Sewn bind off with which you use the knitting needle and a darning needle, like a embroidery needle. No, what are they called?
Yeah, embroidery needle. Tapestry needle.
Tapestry needle.
Yep,
Yeah.
I've heard it called many things. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about.
Short, spiky thing.
Words. Difficult. So either that, but it's so long. It's so long.
That's a lot of casting off.
Yeah, it would take me a long time. I don't mind doing it. I like a sew and bind off. It's what I usually do, unless I'm being lazy. But the last garment I did Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. It was for a baby's vest, and it was actually pretty good. And I was watching Andrea Mowry's tutorial on it, and she said bind it off backwards, so bind it off from the inside.
Okay.
Which I could do, so I could just cut the yarn, start from the other side, and because the front of it looks a bit messy, but actually the underside looks quite nice.
Well, that's an interesting tip, because I was just going to say I've used it on the bottom of one of my other jerseys that haven't been seen yet, and it's quite a thick cast off. It's very noticeable, so across the front or down the button band it would be kind of obvious, but
Yeah.
so yeah, that's an interesting tip by doing it back to front.
Let's face it, I love my daughter, and I will probably spend hours doing Italian sew and bind off, because it will look the best. And you're right, it is on the front of the garment, and it'll give a really good stretch. So that's probably what's going to happen with that. So it is a finished object. I'm so finished with this object, but there is more finishing to do. But that's fine. That's just part of the process, I guess, isn't it? So that's my one FO. Well, I know we're not up to whips yet, but I came so close.
We kind of
I
are
was
up to
so
whips.
close to it. Okay, I could start.
You can actually start. We are actually up to whips, unless you've got any more finished objects.
I was sitting here trying to speed finish this sock so I could put it in the category of whips because I really want it to be finished. I haven't really worked on this at all, so I knitted it down. I knitted that bit of it, and then just parked it because I wanted to get some other things done. And I was out and about with it, and I didn't have a contrasting heel flap to knit into it. So, and then I forgot it existed for a bit. Anyway, so I just finished off the foot last night and this morning, and then I really just wanted to get the last little bit of it done. So I haven't quite finished. So this is Summer Lee's It's So Basic sock pattern, which I've now knit 3 of and I really love. It's a perfect pattern. The one thing I would say is I have really loose gauge, and I knit this on 2.25mm needle, and even that's quite loose on a 64 stitch pattern. And I just have really tight gauge, loose gauge, and you don't really want that for a sock. So I when I got to this part of the sock where you do the reduction of you come back down to your 32 on each side stitches, I actually reduced it down to 28 on the needle I was on. So altogether I had 60. So that's an easy way, a hard way of saying that. The foot only has 60 stitches, and the ankle has 64, because I have.
Are they different sizes, or so is like an actual different size difference, or is it just what did you
stitches?
Yeah, what did you just no they pattern sizes?
Oh no, the next pattern size down is 48, I think.
Right,
58.
So it's a slight modification that you've done just to pull some of the stitches away.
Yeah.
Right.
And it now fits me comfortably on my foot. I like it negative ease in my socks, and I know it's going to give, and so I thought I'd give that a try. And I think for the next pair, I'll knit again on the 64 stitches, but I'm going to go down to a 2mm needle.
Okay.
So I have, and I've been doing a combination of, I have the shorties. I have them here somewhere actually. I knit them on the shorties, which are like these. But when I got to this bit, I switched to Magic Loop, and I've been going backwards and forwards between them, and I much prefer Magic Loop. I find it much faster. I have to kind of slowly knit every stitch using the shorties, which I find a bit tedious. Whereas
speed knitter, loose knitter, speed knitter.
Yeah, that's it. I think and actually knitting on the shorties, my stitch gauge is much tighter.
Yeah,
because I'm slower.
You're tensioning each stitch.
Yeah, because and that just drives me crazy. So I would rather knit on smaller needles, fast
and furious.
Yeah. So that's been a really useful experiment for me. So watch this space. The next pair I'll knit on a smaller needle, and I'll see what the gauge ends up at. But I really like the sock pattern, Summer Lee's sock pattern. It's really good, and she's got a colourwork club that I will participate in. I'm way behind, but once I've finished these ones, I'll start doing some colourwork ones. Yay! So that's my first whip.
Okay, I guess my whips. So I'll start with the more interesting one.
I mean, they're both interesting.
Okay, so I mentioned last time that I was going to start the eagle collar. So what I've done is I've done a gauge feather, and then I've done a second feather as well.
So cute.
It's kind of interesting. So I'll just show. This is a completed one. So I've just steam pressed this one.
Oh, hang on. I have to.
Yeah, there we go. So that's what the feather looks like, and you can see on the edge the little 2-colour bobbles. Oh, I've got my face in the way now. The 2-colour bobbles. Anyway, that's the Channel Island cast on. So it's cast on using a special technique where you can do multicolour cast-ons. So the cast-on is actually in a different yarn colour, and it has a decorative bobble edge.
Yeah, so you can see it there.
So the second one I've done, which I haven't blogged yet.
Plot spoiler.
Is is much better. So it's a really tricky kind of cast on in terms of tension. Here we go. So you can kind of see I've managed to get the colour a lot more. Yeah, I'm really shocking at doing this. Sorry. The colour is a lot more obvious around the edge of this. So anyway, enough about that. It's actually a free cast on tutorial. So I'm not talking out of school by going into a bit of detail
Whose
here.
tutorial is?
It's on. It's Alice Starmore's. So I've jumped ahead of myself as I usually do, but the eagle collar, as I've mentioned before, it's an Alice Starmore pattern. The pattern is purchased as a kit from Virtual Yarns, and so on Virtual Yarns, there's a free tutorial that you can just go to that website, and there's videos to show you how to do things like the Channel Island cast on. But yeah, so yeah, that's there you go. You can use your imagination. That times a lot more creates the feathers, and
different sizes, presumably.
yeah, there's I think there's 3 different sizes on the 6 layer one. So there's 6 layers of feathers that actually go around, and feathers in some cases is just like a little triangle bump, but. So yeah, no, there's quite a lot of work to do in that. So this is just knit in the Alice Starmore's Hebridean yarn. So I've done this in Soul and Goose, and I'm afraid to say that you'll hear more of this in future, and then I'll be able to tell you what this colour is.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of little whips coming up.
Yeah, well, look.
Are we going to say whips for every single one of them?
Well, actually, come on. Seriously, 1 glove, 2 glove, 1 sock, 2 socks, 1 feather, finished object.
How many are you doing?
Well, there's about 60, I think.
Well, okay, you're going to be hearing about this for a very long time. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's why I
feel
decided
like I maybe am to blame.
I kept this one to whips rather than finished objects. So yeah, that's one of the things that I'm currently knitting at the moment. So obviously that's going to be for the eagle cowl for BB. Yeah, you will have seen what that looks like because I probably popped the picture up already. So yeah, so that's me. Do you want me to do my second one?
Yeah, you do your second one and then I'll...
Then you can get into yours. Okay, so then as you all know that I better just make it... Don't lose my needles. Yeah, I'll show you my progress on She Shader. She Shader. Yeah, that's...
They did it on purpose.
Seriously, it's a tricky name. Yeah, I would be laughing. Okay, so I've now got...
So when you saw this last, Stephen he'd almost finished the colour work portion where the steek was.
Yeah, so it's a bottom up cardigan with a steek. Here we go. So yeah, I'd been doing the colour work. That was where I was.
So you can see the steek.
Last, yep. So and then yeah, I've now been knitting in just a single colour. So it's on a different gauge to the colour work, and yeah, it really does feel quite different in terms of moving between the 1 and the 2. But I think I've managed to keep it all consistent. So yeah, the top part is knit flat, so just lots of knits and lots of purls, creating these cool little chevrons. I'm about 2 zigzags, not really chevrons are they, they're zigzags, 2 zigzags away from sleeve separation.
Wow, cool.
So then I think what I'll probably do is I'll start knitting the sleeves before I move.
You left a bit
up.
out.
I know, yeah, there's a gap.
So the colour work is steeked, but the rest of it isn't because it's not colour work, and you just
knit a batting band.
Knit a batting band onto it.
That's right. So yeah.
Because it's a cardigan. And so now you're knitting backwards and forwards, but not colour work. So that's nice of Alice Starmore not to make you knit.
I know.
Colour work back and forwards.
I'm actually,
unlike that other Marie Wallen.
I'm actually starting to miss it.
Oh,
it's like,
no.
I've only got 1 strand of yarn in my hand. What's going on?
Oh my goodness.
But so yeah, that's knit in Soul and Goose and Pebble Beach, as I've mentioned before. Soul and Goose being the whitish color. So yeah, that's She Shader.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
every time I see you, you're knitting the same thing. It's
I know.
very unusual.
Well, that's why I had to break it up with some feathers. You see,
Yeah.
yes, just to get an idea as to A, can I do them, and B, what's it going to take to start actually knitting this collar. So yeah. What about you? What whips have you got, baby?
Well, the sock, which I
Yep.
already talked about. What else do I have? Oh, so last time I think I had started a swatch.
Oh yeah, that's right. The swatch.
Yep, of the V-neck slipover. So this is by Petite Knit. It's the Stockholm slipover V-neck version. It's knit in. I'm knitting it in Knitting for Olive. I actually have one here. Funny story, which I'll talk about in a sec. So Knitting for Olive, soft silk mohair, beautiful. This is the colourway Dusty Rose, love. And then my Miss Babs, which was a Rhinebeck colourway. And we're getting to the story in a minute, but this is how much would I have?
So Yarn Chicken failed.
So, let me tell you. So when I showed this last, I had just knitted, the bit that I had finished was this bit. So it was a square in the back. And then what you do is you pick up at the neck and you pick up along here and then you knit over the front, the two pieces. You knit down these two pieces and then join in the middle, and then join in the round and knit down. So I feel like this vest is cursed. I'm going to absolutely love it when it's finished, but
It looks amazing.
let me say,
The fluff on it.
Yeah.
A fluffy vest.
I mean, it's perfect for me. I feel the cold, so even on a warm day here, it's often windy, like there's a cold easterly wind, and it will be perfect for me to wear with a t-shirt in the summer, and then I can wear it with a jacket in the winter at work.
By warm day, just so that people know, in case you're not familiar with New Zealand temperatures, so a warm day can be anywhere between 28 degrees Celsius. Sorry, I might have to put a Fahrenheit converter up. All the way up to 35 degrees Celsius on a very hot day.
But we're probably talking about 25 to 30 is our peak summer days for the most part.
30 would be the high average.
I have been known to wear knitwear in 30 degrees and be like, oh, I'm a bit warm. And then realise it's probably too warm for knitwear.
Yeah, everyone else is in like t-shirts and singlets. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so what happened was I picked up the neckline. It was confusing. The neckline is confusing. Like, multiple people have knit this in my knit group, and nobody mentioned that it's actually got very confusing instructions. But there you go. I'm going to share those with you now. So you cast on the neckline on this side, but you cast it on partway along, like a cast on edge, and then knit back the other way to the edge. So you start here and then you knit to here, which confused me. So no, you pick up and knit those stitches, and then, but you knit with the tail end. When you're picking up the stitches, you knit with the tail end, because your knitting end should be down the other end, and then you slide your needle back along to then start knitting in the same direction again. It doesn't say any of that in the pattern. It just infers it or implies it.
Yeah.
And then you have to assume that that's what you're doing. So that kind of caused me some stress. I'm like, I think that's what I'm doing. But half the time, I think I'm doing the right thing and I'm not. So
you don't have the element of certainty. It's like
no.
trying something new that's not crystal clear. I mean, it's quite clever.
And the fact that nobody had mentioned it made me think, I must be doing this wrong. So I got Stephen to read the pattern. He confirmed that actually it must be the only way to do this thing. So I did it and it worked and it was fine.
That's really clever. I mean, maybe it's a vest construction thing or something.
Yeah, I think it's in one of our other constructions, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. I think it's anyway, whatever it is. And then, so I knit both these bits. It tells you to knit down the two fronts. And I got to the end, and one was quite a lot longer than the other, but I had been knitting them when I was really tired. I have a rule about knitting while I'm tired.
Yep.
We have a curfew. Curfew is 10 p.m. I'm not allowed to knit after 10 p.m. I was knitting till like 1 a.m. trying to get one finished. Bad idea. And so one was longer than the other. And I think what I'd done is you do increases as you go. And I had been counting my total number of stitches, but I hadn't been counting my increases. And I must have missed some increases. I think I missed 2 increases.
Right, because it was definitely longer. Yeah.
Because, I thought I was about 10 rows, but it must have been 8 rows. That kind of maths makes sense, or whatever, anyway. So then I was like, oh, damn. So I kind of put it down, and I picked it back up, and then I ripped it out to redo it. So I re-knit it. Yeah. I counted every row.
Nothing else could go wrong after that.
Surely. No, right. Sorted. So then I had 2 of them.
2 of them?
Yep. The other one was still too long because I had ripped out the wrong one. I'd ripped out the one that was fine there. That was the right length. Of course I did. So then I ripped out and knit the right one, which was the wrong one.
Yeah. Nothing else could possibly go wrong.
No, nothing could. And then I had 2 of them. They were fine.
Yep.
And then I realised that I had accidentally knit 2 lefts instead of a left and a right. So they were both pointing in the same direction. So I'd knit 2 of these. So I had one there, and then I had another one that went out that way.
Rookie mistake.
Again, all knitting while I was tired.
Yeah.
Frustrated. Fed up, just trying to get it finished because I just wanted to get to the joining in the round part. Oh, and so I ended up knitting one of them 3 times and one of them 2 times. Yeah. But they are done.
Well done.
Yay. And then I knit the body for a bit just to kind of establish the pattern. And I was also worried about my amount of yarn because I only had 1 skein of the yarn and it was going to be about 100 grams short. Maybe a little bit more. So I thought, I'll just knit it cropped. It'll be fine. I didn't realise that the pattern is actually already quite cropped. So anyway, I thought, I'll knit the button band, the neck band, and then see how much yarn I have, and then kind of figure out how much I'm going to need to finish the 2 sleeve button bands, and then how much I'll need for the bottom. I then figured out that I was nowhere near it being long enough for me to be comfortable. Like it was up to my belly button, but not over. So just sitting above my waistband, which is, I'm never going to wear something that's that short.
No, and there's no point even knitting it if you know you're not going to wear it right at the start. So.
No. And so then but I wasn't going to have enough yarn to knit the button band, the ribbing at the bottom and then the ribbing on the sleeve. So somebody had the great idea of just doing a I-cord around the sleeves and the bottom, which I thought, that would look quite nice. I quite like that. So I did an I-cord. I weighed the yarn, did the I-cord. I used much more yarn than I thought for a start. Right. I probably actually just could have done the rib around it. And it didn't sit very nicely, so it was quite loose. I was like, maybe. And then so I just kind of parked it and kept knitting on the bottom to see whether I could get down to a length that I wanted. And then I ran out of yarn. And then I was like, okay, this is how much I've got left to do.
Time to give up.
the bottom band and another sleeve and the I-cord. So no. So I ordered another skein of yarn. The shipping cost more than the yarn.
Yeah, welcome to New Zealand.
I should have just got 2 skeins of it when I was there. I have so much regret. But it cost me 60 New Zealand dollars to have it shipped. It should be
skein.
1 skein of yarn. and the yarn was so expensive I didn't even want to buy any more. Like normally I'd go, oh, I'll combine shipping so I can at least get bang for my shipping buck. But no, the yarn is also quite expensive, so I didn't even do that. I just purchased my one skein. So now I'm just waiting for it to arrive. So that was my short story long for that one. I'm really looking forward to it. I really wanted to wear it, which is why I was trying to get it finished, and I'm really looking forward to having it finished. So that should be finished, I think, next week. I'm just like, as soon as the yarn arrives, it's shipped. It's on its way.
And what else have you got there?
Well, better story. Won't run out of yarn on this one.
Much happier story. Yeah.
No mistakes so far.
No crying and complaining.
So I wanted to knit my other Miss Babs.
Figuratively speaking.
Yeah, so this is the other yarn that I got from Miss Babs at Rhinebeck, and this is like a glittery yarn. You can see that it's hard to actually see the glitter in it, but it suffice to say it has got a silver stellina in it. And I'm knitting this as a t-shirt. So this is a Toasted Tee by Rebecca Clow. I'm knitting the size 3, which is quite small. I'm hoping I don't regret that. The sleeve cap is quite tight, but I kind of wanted it quite fitted. I like almost negative ease or zero ease. And I know because it's a superwash figuring weight yarn and it's knit on 3.5mm needles, it will give. So I didn't want it to be too oversized. I want it to be like a nice little summer tee. So I'm just kind of knitting away on that. I've got to sleeve separation. Once I finish the skein, which I'm almost done with, I've just got this much left, then I'll knit the neckline. And then it's just knit to finish. I do have another ball of it. It's just back here actually. So
not going to
don't
experience
worry,
the same.
I'm not going to run out. I think I'll have plenty. I'll have leftover. I think.
What would you make with it?
Make a hat, obviously.
Of course.
Either
a suitably sized one or a very short one.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
headband.
see how much I've got left. Actually, a headband would be so.
Actually,
cute.
you can imagine it with a.
Actually, what I could do is make some scrunchies.
Yeah, I have a pattern for a scrunchy thing.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll have a think. Maybe a little pair of gloves, some pair of mittens, fingerless gloves.
Options.
Yeah, lots of options. Just depends on how much yarn it takes and how much I've got left. So I'm really enjoying my Toasted Tee. It's nice to be knitting something that's summer appropriate because it is warming up here. So and knitting things that I can actually wear in the summertime. Yeah.
Excellent. Right.
What are we up to?
Plans?
Oh yeah, plans. What are your plans? More monogamy.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to do things one at a time. So in my immediate future, once I can be bothered, finish Redford.
Oh, we weren't going to talk about Redford.
I know. I've just
it's a dirty word in this house.
I've just going to throw it out there.
If people are new, Redford is a Jared Flood pattern. It's beautiful, knit in
Rebel Light.
Stephen knitted it and seamed it. Knitted it all the pieces. That was a bit of a drama, similar to mine.
Long story, different episode. Yeah.
And then all of the pieces are sitting, waiting to be blocked and seamed.
Yeah, it's the blocking part. I just don't like.
And I would be happy to block it for you, but you said you wanted to do it.
No, you absolutely could do the blocking for me.
I did tell you I would.
Thank you. Well, look, you heard it here first. There'll be progress on Redford next.
Maybe. I also want my shader.
Yeah, no, I just really...
You knit it like a year ago, last year?
It's been sitting in a bag for a very long time.
Yeah.
Complete, bar the neckline. You knit that last. But, yeah, if you want to block it, that'll be amazing.
Yeah, I don't mind at all.
I just loathe and detest blocking, especially when it's...
Well, they all have to be pinned out individually.
It's pinning them. I don't have the patience for it.
I don't mind it.
Give me a good complicated knit, but make me block something on a mat with pins.
I'm also a lot faster than you, I think.
You're well
quite
practiced.
Good at it, I've just knit so many more garments than you.
Yeah. So anyway, that's probably going to be on the horizon soon. I did mention that worst case scenario, be done in 4 weeks, and I think we're up to about week 4 now. So, yeah, maybe soon.
It would be a good summon that's the thing,
I
because
know.
it's Rebel light, and so it's lightweight. It's such lightweight wool. It's nice and lofty.
Yeah, if I was gonna be wearing a jersey now, that's why I really want to get it moved forward.
Yeah.
Because I do feel I'm a bit short on things to wear at the moment, because it's quite warm in my office. Even then, it's cold outside. The aircon in our office is shocking, so it gets very warm. So I need something cooler.
It seems like a fair trade to She Shader for a bit of blocking. It'll only take me half an hour to get it all done.
Yeah, but that's only the short term thing. So longer term,
it's a Jared Flood too. Sorry to interrupt, but so it'll have a good schematic, so it'll be easy to do.
it's actually not Jared.
Oh, who's it by?
Julie Hoover.
Oh, okay. Well,
But it's Brooklyn
same.
tweed. Yeah. It's well laid out. It's lots of stitches in the seams, but
yeah.
yes. So the other thing I'm working on, obviously, you've just seen She Shader and the Eagle Collar, and those are going to take me a little while.
And you have resisted the urge to cast on the thing that your heart desires.
I am resisting the urge. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to resist the urge for.
Every day, guys. Every day is a battle.
It's going to depend on progress with these other things and how I feel about them. Because I am going to start the collar part of the Eagle Collar shortly, even though I haven't done all the feathers, just to mix it up.
Does it have a button in it, the Eagle Collar?
No, it just...
Over the head.
I believe so. I should have a closer read of the pattern. But anyway, no, what I want in it next...
Is, drumroll please.
It's another all-over colour work Fair Isle jersey. So obviously I did Troutbeck, and I'm having colour work withdrawal, I think.
Nuts.
I really like it.
Nuts.
I really enjoy doing it. It's interesting, and it's tactile, and just manipulating two strands of yarn in each hand is actually a lot of fun. And it's not repetitive, even though it's pretty repetitive. Just the making or the painting of the colours keeps it much more interesting. So to remove the suspense, I also have another Alice Starmore. Well, actually, it's not Alice Starmore, it's Jade Starmore. So the designer of the She Shader. I have another kit, but for me this time. So it's the Glenesque pullover. So it's another all-over colour work jersey. The picture on this is a little bit poorly colour graded, so it looks like it was shot in the golden hour, so the yarn colours don't look true to the kit that I've got. I actually think the yarn in real life looks a whole lot better than what's depicted on the photo.
The model is Thomas Starmore.
Oh,
Presumably Alice Starmore's other child. Jade is her daughter.
Yeah, good question. Good point. I didn't read that part. So yeah, that's...
Jade took the picture.
Yeah, Jade does all the photography. So anyway, Glenesque pullover. It's all over colour work. It's in the style of the Henry VIII jersey, which I wanted to knit. I want a Henry VIII, and that originally featured in Alice Starmore's Tudor Roses book in its first publication. And of course, I wanted it. I managed to finally find a copy of Tudor Roses, but it was the second edition. And what's the one pattern that she took out?
And you can't get
Henry
any
VIII.
other way. So you need to just get a first edition version of it.
Yeah.
Amazon should have it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a second some old used.
Yeah.
Used
Amazon
thing or
has
something.
used books.
So anyway, yeah. But then again, too, the colours are not necessarily all the same. So anyway, I figured pattern kit, yarn kit, and because again, too, it's a bit of a dive if you don't like doing colourwork jerseys. So at the time, I didn't really know. So I've had this pattern card kicking around home and the yarn kit for a wee while now. So it's finally time to start knitting it.
Oh yeah, it's got steaks, so it's drop shoulder construction, but it has sticks rather.
That's
yeah.
that's the
All
fun
knit,
part.
all knit in the round.
It's knit in the round. So unlike Troutbeck, which was knit flat and seamed, well, I knit it flat and seamed per the pattern, because I missed the recommendation that said you could knit it in the round. This one says right up front that it's knit in the round, so that's what I'm going to do. Will have had some experience with the steek by doing She Shader, so once that's done, I'll know and be comfortable hopefully steeking. So armhole steeks hopefully should be no
Easy
problem.
peasy.
Yeah, piece of cake. So yeah, Glen-esque.
Yeah, that's good plans. That's exciting.
I guess the other thing too, I mean, it's a little bit tricky. There's not a lot of men's all over colourwork Fair Isle type jerseys around, so if any of you folks have favourites that you're aware of as well, please drop a comment.
Yeah.
Because I'd be real keen. I mean, like I say, I like the dense Fair Isle patterns, but I also like ones that aren't too chaotic. So yeah, if there's any out there that have caught your eye,
So Fair Isle patterns, because like if you go to something like Tin Can Knits that has male sizing, but
yeah,
it's not the same as the full Fair Isle.
no,
Yeah.
all
It's
over.
more a modern version.
So yeah, lightweight yarn, small needles, lots of colours.
Sounds amazing. Not my cup of tea at all.
No.
It's good that we're different knitters because it means that we have a variety of knitwear in our house at all times.
Yes. And what's on your horizon?
Okay, so I swatched for Blasipa last time, so that will be the next thing on my needles, I think. But I have been planning for a while. I had this idea this year, start from the beginning. This year, what I did was, at some point during the year, my queue got really chaotic and I was kind of just randomly knitting things, and I'm a very ordered person. I'm a project manager. That's what I've done for a job for the last 20 years or so, and I like order, and so I ordered my queue and picked out, I think it was 10 things that I wanted to knit, and then I blasted through them in about 2 months. Lol. But I really enjoyed just going, okay, here are the 10 things I'm going to knit. I made sure I could either get the yarn or I had the yarn, and I just worked my way through them. And I really enjoyed doing that. It kind of de-stressed trying to find things to knit for me, combined with trying to get through some of my stash. So I was trying to knit stash, and it's kind of, there's a forest for the trees problem where you have so much stash you don't even really know what you have or what you're going to knit with it. And the same with patterns for me. I have a lot of, over 200 patterns. Some of them I've knit, obviously, probably about half of that now I've knit. But being able to connect up my patterns and my yarn and actually think about what I'm going to knit. So, short story long, I made a queue of 20 things on Ravelry. Well, it's actually longer than that because I'm kind of going now through the...
You're being restrained.
Yeah, well, I'm going through the culling process and seeing what I actually am going to be knitting. But what I wanted to do was pick patterns that I already owned as much as possible, with yarn I already own as much as possible, put those two things together, put them on a queue, and then just decide what order I want to knit them in. And so I've been going through all my stash, finding where all my sweater quantities of yarn are. I don't have as many as I thought I did for a start. I have a lot more random skeins of yarn than I do sweater quantities, which is a little annoying. But that was a useful voyage of discovery.
Yeah, we bought a whole bunch of random colours when there was local yarn supplies were big dwindling.
Yeah.
And we thought we would like to practice and try colour work.
Yeah, and we've still got most of that yarn.
Yeah, so we were actually going to design colour work patches for a blanket.
Well, no, I did actually, but I also did my own design of colour work jumper. Yeah, and I'm really keen to do more colour work. So that's all sitting there. But anyway,
sorry,
so I've got 20. So I want to have 20 items, not all garments. And what I did is I went through my pattern stash and I printed off all the patterns.
Not old school.
So that I would actually have a record, because I guess I'm quite visual and tactile, so I actually want them in front of me. So Blasipa is first. I won't show that any further because that's the actual pattern. And then I've got some things I need to knit, and so they're in there. And then we get into the fun stuff, like things that I really am just really excited to knit. So, for example, Sheltered was the very first thing. It was the very first pattern I purchased on Ravelry. It was the first thing that I put in my favourites, and it's come and gone for years now. It's an older Andrea Mowry pattern. I'm so excited to knit it, and I have the yarn to knit it, so I'm going to knit it. Yay! I'm so excited. Anyway, so I have about 25 patterns that I'm choosing between. I've kind of just got to refine the last few, and then I'll have all of the yarn, all of the patterns. So I have enough yarn.
I'm just saying you've got 25 jersey lots of yarn in your stash.
Yeah, that's the implication. Not quite, because
They're not all jerseys.
Yeah, so I've got 2 hats, I've got a pair of mittens, I've got a hot water bottle cover, I've got 2 vests.
Right.
3 vests. And some colour work, which certainly helps kind of when you've got multiple colours.
Right, so that really mixes it up.
Yeah, it does.
I was going to say 25 sounded a lot.
Yeah, not everything I've put in my queue I have the yarn for.
Right.
We'll get to that in acquisitions.
Working towards it.
But yeah, I'm trying to clear my yarn of all of my sweater quantities of yarn. Clear my stash so that I can really start to buy the yarn that I want to knit right now, rather than things that I decided I wanted to knit 2 or 3 or 5 years ago. So I'm going to actually do a whole separate episode of that. It'll be just out of sequence of our regular, so we'll keep our regular ones going, but so you'll get a bonus episode where I'll just go through everything I'm going to, once I've finished, everything I'm planning to knit, what the pattern is, why I've chosen it, what the yarn is, and show you all the yarn, because I have them all in my stash. They're all in my house, but I still have to do a little bit more. I've got 2 more patterns to select, and I still have to do some yarn selection because there's a couple of colour work items in there, and I need to choose the palette for those. So that's my future plans.
Awesome. All right. And
acquisitions.
I was going to say, moving on to fulfilling these pattern requirements. What have you been up to?
Yeah, so it still counts as stash until I start, and I start in January, so I can still add to my stash now up until January. So there are rules of this game, which I'll go through in the episode, but one of them is that
I suspect December is going to be quite expensive.
Not as expensive
as we
you
stash
think.
everything.
Yeah, but I do have some gaps of things that I really, really want to knit that I no longer have the yarn to knit them for because I've knit other things in them. So there's a few things in that category. So I needed to kind of do a little bit of gap fill. Anyway, so acquisitions. So a couple of weeks ago, a few of my knitting buddies and I went to Ashburton, which is about an hour's drive from Christchurch. And there's a big yarn store there. It's Ashford is, they produce bullwinders, swifts, and I have one down here, like spindle spinning stuff, and all kinds of different spinning equipment. And so we went to the shop to have a bit of a play in the shop and have a squish of the yarn, and also they have a really nice cafe, so we had some lunch, which was really lovely. It was a fun day, and I was so close. Like, we were at the entrance of the store, at the door, ready to leave. And then we were just saying, oh, what did you buy? What did you buy? And I was looking at what other people had bought. Nothing. I had nothing.
Yeah,
and
I
then
had nothing.
Christine.
Actually, no, I had a bag.
Christine, you know who you are, was like, oh, well, I got this one. And what she had purchased was what I ended up with. So this is called Mandala. And it's by Countrywide Yarns, 4-ply yarn. It's, I'm assuming it's merino. It just says that it's pure wool, but I don't know what it is exactly. But it's a colour changing yarn. It's a little bit like Spin Cycle, and I'm keen to try it to see. It's much woollier, thin spin cycle, and it's a fingering weight yarn, and very much a light fingering, I would say.
And there's not a lot of variegation in there either. It changes colour, but
but not tons.
Not a heap.
So when you look at it, you can kind of see like it goes light and dark, but it doesn't change heaps. So I'm really keen to knit with some of this to see what it turns out like. It's the skeins are 400 meters, so I got 2 of them. So I can knit. I want to knit a t-shirt. I kind of wanted to knit some lightweight summer garments, but it's a mass-produced yarn. So if I need to get more, and I decide I want to knit a jumper, I can get more. But I just wanted to get a t-shirt quantity to knit something lightweight.
Great.
Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah, and I just got a bag that I just remembered that I actually got. It was just a tote bag for projects.
Yeah, a little project bag. And then, while I was going through my stash and figuring out what I needed, what I had, one of my very favourite yarns is this yarn that I'm wearing. Like, it's soft, it's warm, it's very wearable, comes in great colours. I like the possum, it feels really luxe. But they don't make it anymore.
No.
And then Deborah, who owns Outlaw Yarn, posted up on Instagram that
Outlaw Yarn's another, local yarn.
It's one of our local yarn suppliers. Yep, and they have a store. She posted up on Instagram, like I was literally mulling this over. I'm like, once I knit the Vega vest, I'm knitting the Vega vest, and then I'm knitting a hot water bottle cover. I will be out of Bohemia. That's the last of the Bohemia light for me. I've still got Bohemia worsted. And I was feeling kind of sad about it. And then she posted up to say, good news, guys. If you liked Bohemia, then you're going to love this. And this is called Rhapsody. So it is different from Bohemia is worsted spun with the possum in it, which does make it shed and pill quite a bit because the fibers are flat, and then you add possum in. But this is
it doesn't hold the possum
as well
fur very well.
Yeah, but this one is woolen spun, so you can't really even see the possum fibers in it, but it's so soft. And I really love woolen spun yarn. I think it's my preference is to knit in woolen spun. It's lofty, it's lightweight, but super warm. I find it warmer than worsted spun yarn. And so I had to have it. So I think I waited about, I don't know, like an hour. I tried to be restrained. I tried, guys, I tried. And then I purchased 6 skeins because I don't know why, but that was the wrong amount. So then I had to purchase 2 more. But so I have 8 skeins of this. It's so it's woolen spun yarn, and 80% merino, 20% possum. It's a 50 gram ball, which is really great if you're doing colour work, or you don't like, if you just want to do a little project. It means that you don't have a whole 100 grams hank of it, which is good. It makes it a bit more affordable.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting point. It's like a lot of the New Zealand yarns, they don't come in 25 gram balls.
No.
So, the likes of Shetland and that, often it's, 25 grams per ball.
Because they're designed for colour work.
Yeah, whereas none of the New Zealand yarns come in that weight.
Yeah.
It's always 50 grams is this.
It's a minimum 50 or 100. So normally you'd expect to get something like this, which I would say is a sport weight, but you could go from fingering weight all the way to DK depending on what you want your gauge to be. I had a look at Deborah's gauge. She had a gauge swatch of 3.5, 3.75 and 4mm needle, and the 3.75 looked like the perfect gauge to me. The 4 was a wee bit loose. So I'd probably go for a 3.5 or a 3.75.
I'm really interested to see how that knits up for you. Yeah, I really am. I mean, I like the Bohemia worsted.
And it has some nice colours.
And it's a really good alternative to it. I mean, Outlaw is the home of all the Rebel and Rebel Light that we knit with.
Yep, which they still have, and there's tons of beautiful colours. So it's 50 gram ball, 200 metres. So I got a sweater quantity of that, and I have already allocated it to a pattern, which I will talk about when I do that episode. And then while I was at the shop,
I'm also interested in this one.
while I was at the shop picking up the yarn, I got more yarn. So this one is called Rebel Rapture. So one of the other yarns from Outlook that we really liked was called Nix.
Yes.
And
so that's what I knit my St. Bridget in. So that cable jersey from episode 3, I think it was. That's in Nix. And a couple of my plans are all to be done in Nix as well.
yeah, because we've still got plenty of Nix. We bought tons of it when it came out, and it's no longer available. So it's kind of like you knit through your stash, and you're like, when I get to the end of this is going to be the end of it.
That's it. Yeah.
Which is sad. But wait. Because
replacement.
This is called Rebel Rapture, and it is 80% merino, 20% silk, which is similar to the Nix, which also had the silk in it, which means that it has the lightness and softness of merino, but the structure of silk, which is a great combo. It feels to me like a little like Spin Cycle, because it's not super fluffy. It's not fluffy at all, which I really like. So this is a 50 grams skein, but it's 135 meters because I guess it's heavier because of the silk in it.
Is it worsted or woolen spun?
Woolen spun.
And that's the difference. So Nix I think was worsted.
Yeah.
So again, that will give it a bit more lightness and a bit more airiness.
Yeah, and nice and chunky. So this is also
cable definition will be great.
Oh yeah. So I what I'm lacking in my stash is something that I can knit cables with, and I'm trying to be a bit braver about what I knit in the next year. So I've put some things in my queue that will be hard for me to do, like cable jumpers that will be challenging for me. But I was missing a sweater quantity of DK weight yarn that I could knit cables in, actually, and I don't have very much DK weight yarn at all, and I have lots of DK plans. I think DK is my preferred yarn weight. So
yeah, it's not quite so heavy, a little bit lighter
in between, but still warm. Anyway, so acquisitions went crazy. Feel like I should be reducing my stash, but building my stash. Oops.
Yeah, I think December's going to be a busy month.
But with purpose. I'm stashing with purpose. Yeah.
That'll be good. And I really want to see you knit those new yarns.
Well, I will.
Yeah.
I don't know when. It'll be sometime next year.
Yeah. I have no acquisitions. At least not now. But as I say, once BB's finished these jerseys, there might be some on the horizon, I think. So that brings us to the end, I think.
Yeah, I think we're through everything. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you for giving us likes and for your comments. We really appreciate them again. Thank you for subscribing.
Yeah, if you've made it this far, please think about subscribing. That would be really appreciated.
Yep. And we had a goal of getting to 1,000 subscribers. We didn't have a idea of when we would get to this goal, and we're not quite there yet, but we are close, and a lot sooner than I thought. I thought like a year or two, will take a wee while to kind of build our mojo and get the word out there. But yeah, it's amazing. We're just so stoked and so happy that anyone actually wants to listen to what we have to say.
That's for sure. I mean, I think our first episode when we released it, we were super excited when we had 25 views, I think it was. So
yeah, and now, we're still excited for every single
absolutely
view.
So now it's just like, it's mind blowing. It really is.
But it's really nice for me. It's nice to share my knitting journey with viewers and people who are watching, and have people commenting and giving me feedback. It's just another group of people that I can communicate with other than my small knitting group.
And such good and interesting ideas that we get. I mean, things we would never have thought of. So thank you.
And and it's also really nice for us to be able to talk about the local yarn. I mean, I'm really committed to knitting with local yarn and being able to highlight the local yarn producers in Christchurch. Yeah, Christchurch used to be full of woolen mills and yarn producers, and now there are very few. So we want to be able to promote our own local yarn. It's not local to you unless you're in Christchurch, but it's local to us, and that's really important to
it
me.
means a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough of us rambling on. Thank you for listening and watching, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks, and you'll see me talking about all of my plans for next year in a separate episode.
Indeed. Thank you. Goodbye.
Ka kite.